Hey everybody, I'm here today with a video about the 7 best tips for turning right and left. If you are driving on a regular basis, there's a good chance that you're going to be making thousands of right and left turns every single year. Probably many thousands of right and left turns, all depending on your commute, but you're going to make a lot of them. It's as simple as that, especially if you look at your whole driving career. You're going to make tons, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of right and left turns. So these are 7 simple tips that will help you make right and left turns safely, effectively, and properly. Let's get right into it. Tip number 1 is signal early. Using your turn signal is something that is so simple, but not many drivers do it often enough. You just push the lever, just like that. Push the lever. And with most turns, your steering wheel is actually going to cause your turn signal to actually turn off by itself. So all that you really have to worry about is turning it on. You don't even have to worry about turning it off. The reason why you signal early, sorry about that. The reason why you signal early is simply to tell other drivers what you plan on doing. If you're signaling at the last second, there's almost no point in signaling. The point of signaling is to give other drivers an advance notice as to what you plan on doing. So signal early. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is always check your blind spot. Now it's very simple. Checking your blind spot, just like signaling, takes just a second. Just like that. What makes it even better is that on most modern cars, on many modern cars, they're going to have blind spot cameras that actually, do the job for you, so you can just look at the camera view. Now, check with your manufacturer and check with your the actual owner's manual of the car to make sure that the camera that you have is a blind spot camera, but they've made it even easier. So always check your blind spot. Whether your car is a camera or not, do whatever you need to do to check your blind spot. If your car is the blind spot camera, you can use the camera. If not, turn your head to check the blind spot. You know what? People check their mirrors and they turn. There could be a car, or even worse, a pedestrian being right there in your blind spot. If you don't check your blind spot, you might hit the car, you might hit the person. You don't want to be in that position, so just check your blind spot. Tip number 3 is know how much to turn the wheel. Now, if you want to turn right or left, you're going to have to turn the wheel. Now, estimation is one of the key factors in turning. If you're a beginner driver, you might understeer, which is steering too little for a turn, or oversteer, which is steering too much for a turn. But as you practice, you're going to get better and better at estimating how much to turn the wheel. So the key factor here is if you find yourself understeering or oversteering, practice, practice, practice until you know exactly how much to turn the wheel, and then release it for that specific right or left turn. Moving forward to number 4. Tip number 4 for turning right and left, one of the best ones yet, is to look where you want to go. If you're always looking in front of the car, it's going to be hard for you to get a good curvature on your right or left turns. Now, before I make a turn, I always scan the intersection and I scan the front of the car to make sure that it's free and clear for me to do so, that I can turn safely. But then once I start to turn, you want to look. I always look where I want to turn. If I'm turning right, I'm going to look in the front right corner over here of my car while I'm turning. If I'm turning left, I'm going to look in this front left corner of the car while I'm turning. It will help you make that turn better, estimate the wheel turning amount better, just get a better curvature of the turn. Moving forward to number 5 on the list, which is make micro adjustments. Now, we're not robots, we're not perfect, so when we turn the wheel, we don't know the exact precise amount to turn it. So we estimate and we get a rough amount. Micro adjustments are what I like to call them, are when you simply move the wheel just a little bit like this, just a little bit. You can watch this seam right here throughout the turn. And that helps you perfect the curvature of the turn. So if I were to just turn it and hold it like this, I might not get that curvature, perfectly down. But if I do the micro adjustments throughout the turn, whether it's a little bit this way or a little bit that way, I can perfect that curvature as closely as possible to what I need it to be. So make those micro adjustments while you turn. It's as simple as that. Most of the time you'll do it without even noticing, but when you're a beginner driver, you're gonna have to, notice that you're doing it. Then you just end up doing it subconsciously. Tip number 6 for turning right and left is to grip the wheel with flexibility. If I grip the wheel and I'm so stiff with my arms right here, I can't turn the car properly. You got to grip the wheel with flexibility. Have a firm grip on the wheel, but go like this. Can you move your arms and your shoulders easily? Can you remove your hands easily? Don't be so stiff on the wheel. Be flexible with your turning. Last but not least, 7 tip number 7, which is one of the best ones in this video. It's actually a don't, and the tip is to don't keep your hands crossed while turning. If you're using some steering methods like hand over hand, otherwise known as cross steering, which is a method that I use quite often, you know, as you turn the wheel, your hands are going to be crossed. You don't want to turn like this with your hands crossed. If your hands end up being crossed, remove one hand, just like that. So let's say I'm turning the wheel, my hands are crossed. I want to take one hand, uncross, and then the other hand, move it like that. You don't want to take the turn and turn like this with your hands crossed. Very, very dangerous, okay? Especially don't do that for the driving test, especially. Instead, if your hands are crossed, move one hand to uncross it and then move the other one. So once again, my hands are crossed, take one hand to uncross it and then move the other one. It's as simple as that. Those are the 7 best tips for turning right and left. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great car and driving videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.